Did you read the trivia?
Yeah.
What? Do you know what happened with the music? With Dewey's theme?
No.
Is it Hans Zimmer?
Some part of it is Hans Zimmer. Excerpts from Hans Zimmer's score from Broken Arrow appeared in the film for Dewey, replacing the tracks that had been developed for the character from Scream's score. Marco Beltrami explained in an interview that the Zimmer piece was used as a placeholder for the incomplete score. The test audience reaction to it influenced the studio to keep the Zimmer piece, reducing Dewey's theme, which Beltrami had composed to fill its place, to minor use during more serious scenes involving the character.
So what we hear in that is Hans Zimmer, the doo-doo-doo-doo.
Most likely, yeah.
Is that why it sticks out like a sore thumb?
Maybe, yeah.
In a good way,
Yeah.
but I've always been like...
Sort of mean and on the nose.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your new favorite pop culture YouTube channel where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned.
Ooh, get the little Monica. Put it right here. Yes.
On today's episode, we are going to, in preparation for the upcoming Scream 5 or 5CREAM.
Yeah.
We are going to continue our journey through the Screamiverse with Scream 2.
You can also see our Scream 1 coverage that we did with our friend Stefan. You can listen to it, and we'll put a link in the description.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Stefan, we just had to knock this out. We couldn't. He's listening and so bummed.
Do you want to die tonight? Is that the best you can do? Why not set your goals higher, huh? You want to be one of the big boys? Manson? Bundy? OJ? What's your favorite scary movie? Showgirls.
Just got a stupid little whisk. Where's my red nail polish? I'll just like get her on the head there.
All right. So this was the quick version of the backstory. I used to be afraid of scary movies. Then one summer, my friends basically in high school, my friends talked me into just watching a whole bunch of them. And it turned out that I actually kind of love scary movies. But in particular, I love whodunits, and I love And Then There Were None.
Sure.
Those are two of my favorite tropes.
And for me, slasher movies are by far the scariest because they can happen. It's real.
But I think it was probably 2000 or 2001 when I was finally watching these. So I was aware of them. I had seen the opening scene of Scream 3. That was like, I saw that at a party. Of course, I knew nothing about it. Mm-hmm. But I had watched Scary Movie before I saw any of the scary movies it was lampooning. So I had seen Scary Movie many times that summer. And so I did come into it with sort of an understanding. Mm-hmm. And it was fun. I actually liked it that way because I don't know that I would have been able to watch all of them if I hadn't already seen them with, like, had the piss not already been taken out of some of them.
Oh, see, I went... They dove right in. I saw all of these, and I've never seen a scary movie, like a scary movie. The
Scream movies were sort of like the holy grail. They were my favorites. And I mean, we're now, God, are we pushing 30 years? How far removed are we?
Yeah.
Pushing 30 years.
25, yeah.
Yeah. And they're a huge cultural touchstone for our generation, but in particular, I want to say like gays. Like it's a very
I get that
thing, but
there's a lot of really strong and really interesting female characters in these movies, so that makes sense.
Well, and they're subversive, and we frequently are talking about tone and like vibes and stuff like that. And a lot of movies, especially in like 2001, 2003, all that will be like, this was a 90s movie. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go as far as to say this was one of the first 2000s movies.
Okay.
I think this plays like an aughts movie.
I buy it.
From the opening dimension with that like song. I don't know what they're doing, but that is like seared in my brain. I think the whole thing, it plays very sleek and very like this was
it's Kevin
this was
Williamson.
movies for the DVD age.
Yeah, it's Kevin Williamson and it's Wes Craven, who both make pretty shiny movies for the most part.
I know that the first one is sort of regarded as the best one.
Okay, I have something to say about this.
Mm-hmm.
Having only watched the fourth one once, we saw it in the theater, I think that the first one is the scariest. It is a slasher movie. It's the most slasher movie scariest one. I actually think the second one is almost just as good. And then the third one is my favorite.
They're all good.
They're all good though.
I was a little bit prepared to watch this because it's been a long time since I've seen it. I was a little bit prepared to sit down and watch this and have some of the like gloss.
No, it's pretty great.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Also, that's the thing I'll say, because I know I'm already future me is already getting reamed by comments. The third one is my favorite because it's hilarious and Parker Posey is in it.
So no, but I was gonna say I like that this one is sort of about, well, it's twofold. It's about like growing up, moving on, college, and also the theater.
Yeah.
And the third one's about Hollywood.
Okay.
That is so interesting.
No, it's super funny. I do have a bone to pick, though, in which I do not think that Sydney Prescott chooses theater as her college major. Theater acting as her college major.
Well, she tried to get out of it. The director wasn't letting her go. He was like, no, we already got the eyeliner.
Yeah, I don't have an understudy. You got to do it.
I laughed a little bit halfway through when you asked me what, and I was like, I'll wait. But there's another factor or facet of this movie that I find very, very interesting. And it's part of what I responded to so much about it. But I don't recall if this is the same in the third. And I don't really think it's true of the first one. But this one in particular is sort of like Liminal Spaces, the movie.
Oh, sure.
There's so much in this movie where it's like you're in a location
that usually bustling.
Yeah, that is not being used for its purpose.
The sound stage, the actual theater stage,
the hallways
itself.
of the school.
Yeah.
Even the part like the frat house.
Yeah.
The lit for two empty frat houses.
Yeah.
The streets of this whatever town.
Yep.
The cops pull up to a red light. It is a ghost town.
There's not a person in sight. You're right. And you're right, because the first one isn't really like that, because even when she gets attacked in the bathroom, school is still in session, right? So there are people all around.
That went a little bit, yeah. But, well, because even like somehow like in the opening scene, like somehow like Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps both find ways to be like in a deserted, like desolate part of this jam-packed movie theater holding a premiere.
It's also just like the dinkiest little movie theater holding a sneak peek like premiere of it's the Rialto from Dawson's Creek. But I just seats like 75 people.
I love the meta commentary, and this is very, I wanted to say ahead of its time. It's very of its time, because this is when subversion, meta, all that stuff starts coming in. I mean, we have that entire conversation in the film class where they're like breaking down. I feel like half of my knowledge of film came from that scene alone. Like half of what I know about movies I learned from that scene.
Well, it's also, I love that it's got Joshua Jackson, just like a random Joshua Jackson.
Yeah, because I literally was like, oh yeah, I forgot he's in this movie. And then I was like, he's not in this movie.
In that scene, specifically, and that's it.
And Sarah Michelle Gellar says moral majority. There are times where there are points where its time period does shine through.
She's also got the worst eyebrows.
Not to be outdone by Portia de Rossi's eyebrows, which had not quite settled yet.
They were also, her eyebrows in this movie are like black and her hair is like blonde. So it's a very dichotomous thing.
But no, I love all of the humor. Like, I think it's so interesting.
That's a Kevin Williamson special.
Well, and just the existence of the Stab franchise. Yeah. Like, before I had even seen the Scream movies, I remember hearing about them. Like, I knew of them from friends who had seen them. And I remember a friend explaining to me the movie within a movie. And I feel like, because at the time I was like 13, 12. And I was like, that was kind of like literally the first I'd ever heard of that concept.
Sure.
And so I was like, they made a movie about Scream in Scream? Like, I couldn't quite wrap my brain around it.
It's so perfect, though, first. First, it's so perfect. And second of all, Robert Rodriguez directed those scenes.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. I want to see Stab.
Me too.
I want them to it would be like the drag race, like the bitch who stole Christmas. It would be so bad.
Yeah.
But the casting in Stab.
Okay, I'm sorry. Already, what did he say? That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Moms
Sydney,
run away.
Moms leave.
I've been going through a lot lately, Billy. And my mom...
Sid, I think you need to just deal with that and move on. I mean, when my mom left my dad, I accepted it. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Moms leave.
Yeah, your mom left town. She's not buried in a cemetery somewhere. My mom's dead and she's never coming back. Ever.
Stupid.
Delivered. Chef's Kiss Perfect by Luke Wilson to
Tori Spelling. So I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent.
Okay.
I kind of love Tori Spelling.
Yeah. Oh, I think we've addressed that before,
especially in this point.
Yeah.
This and the 2000s part of her career. Things have gone ways.
Up or down.
But I think she is a gifted comedian. I think she has a fantastic attitude and sense of humor in a way that she has quite literally never been given credit for it.
Yeah.
She was perpetually a butt of the joke in ways that she was so willing to go with.
Yeah.
And because she just straight auditioned for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like she just her people didn't call up and were like, because she barely had people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She showed up to read for the part and the people were like, oh, we're making fun of you. And she was kind of like,
yeah, I know.
And so they literally, I don't remember which one. I don't remember if it was Wes or someone important then called her and was like, hey, for being such a good sport, do you want to just be in the movie?
Yeah.
So they like wrote the Nancy O'Dell scene like way late in the process as like a little Easter egg. It's so funny. The in universe like stuff. We have she has to be 20-year-old Heather Graham.
Oh yeah, super tiny.
Playing.
Let's see how old she was.
Casey playing Drew Barrymore. She gets like a shocking amount of screen time too.
Actually, she was 26 when they were filming. Really? She was born in 1970.
Oh, she's baby face.
Yeah.
And I just love, again.
She's 51. That's kind of crazy.
I'm also a closet. I love Heather Graham.
You're not in the closet about it. You were wide open about that.
I think she's so great. But there's this like iconic photo shoot from this movie, and it's Heather Graham, Nev Campbell,
Sarah Michelle Gellar's in it.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Tori Spelling.
Yeah.
And they're all like in a bathroom in like kind of like sleepover clothes. And then it's like there's like a series of photos. It might be David LaChapelle. I don't remember. This was that period of time where it was like obligatory that it would be him. But then they go and change and like recreate the photo, just doused head to toe in blood.
Yeah.
It's so good. Because we even get like behind the scenes nuggets. Like for instance, David Arquette is apparently playing Dewey.
Yeah. No. David Arquette is who does play Dewey.
David Schwimmer.
David Schwimmer. That's the one. And then it was like, it's Gail Weathers' face, but it's Jennifer Aniston's body.
Which is also funny because Jennifer Aniston has literally never been nude. So
yeah.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
We do have the obligatory Scream opening with Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps. My feelings about Jada Pinkett Smith have changed a lot.
Okay.
I used to not like her. Like, I remember watching the opening when I was younger and thinking she was a bad actress in that scene. And watching it now this time, I'm like, oh, she's doing something very specific that I think goes wonderfully with this movie.
So she also apparently asked for it.
Did she? She
was like, where did it go? She literally was like, I want to die as hard as possible.
She
was like, do it to me. Wes Craven was like, you got it.
And that's sort of a relic of the past for us, because we are of this generation and we still used to go to the movie theaters where you had to be there like 2 hours beforehand. Yeah. You had to line up, and we've been to movie theaters where people, including us, were dressed up in costumes and stuff. And you just don't get to do that anymore because
I want to say a really old-fashioned sentence, which is that one time we went to a Harry Potter premiere dressed as the characters and wound up on Perez Hilton.
we did.
We did do that.
It's very true. And you just can't do that anymore because I remember after the what was the shooting? The Dark Knight Rises?
It was for Trainwreck.
Well, that was one of them, but there was a shooting for Dark Knight Rises.
Was there? Yeah.
Aurora.
Oh.
And that's when they stopped letting people wear costs. You can't wear masks. You can't have
all the TikToks I've seen of people dressing up fully as Spider-Man for the No Way Home premiere beg to differ. But
maybe it's loosening, but it's just you used to not even have to think twice about that. And so it's kind of crazy, and it has that thing that is so interesting and so scary about how you can be in a room full of people and be in mortal danger and no one knows. And well, she does. She fucking goes for it. She climbs her way to the top of the stage.
So
and just
in the 2018 interview, Jada Pinkett Smith revealed that she was determined to make her on-screen death one for the record books. I remember saying to the director at the time, I want to die the most horrific death that has ever happened in a horror film. Not quite.
No.
But I want it to be long and excruciating. Checkmark 100. And he's like, cool. Of course, the director in question was Maestro Macabre Wes Craven. And so it's just yep, it works. It worked really good.
But like I said, also just for fun, for shits, but that scene is brilliantly parodied in Scary Movie.
Is it? Yeah. Oh,
that's the Regina Hall.
Yeah.
Where this is some scurry shit. Yeah. but in Scary Movie, they're watching Shakespeare in Love.
Oh, okay.
And she just keeps screaming every time. It's very funny. I'm kind of dying to get you to watch a Scary Movie because there's no reality where you're going to like it. It is bottom of the barrel much of the way through, but there are gifted comedians. Yeah. And you've said in particular for the Anna Faris and Regina Hall that you're curious. Shannon Elizabeth's character, she plays a character named Buffy. Oh. She does not slay any vampires.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, so Sydney's in college.
The murders start happening again. She thinks it might be Jerry O'Connell, and it turns out not to be. And then I think you're right. I think he is dead. He got shot just directly in the heart.
And it explodes. So we were talking a little bit. That's one of the things I laughed at when we were sitting down. But apparently because they had such a hard time with the rating for the first movie.
Oh my God, I read that too. That Wes Craven just put in.
They pumped this cut full of crap.
Extra.
So that they could trim it down to the cut they wanted.
This is how you know the MPAA is a bunch of fucking dumb shits that don't know how to do their job, because not only did he just absolutely shoved every bit of gore he could in it so he'd have stuff to cut. The MPAA just was like, oh, I like the message of your movie. Here's your R rating.
They're like, yeah, it's great. Good to go.
Out of your fucking mind?
So he went through and cut it down anyways, but if you're interested in that, there is I don't know how well it holds up at this point. It's 15 years old, but there's a documentary called This Film Is Not Yet Rated.
Well, it's all still happening, so it holds up pretty good.
Breaks down why the film industry, the MPAA essentially is.
It's not the film industry. It's the motion picture, whatever
it's
they are.
Full of shit. It's
because violence doesn't get high ratings, but the depiction of female orgasm gets an NC-17, almost across the board.
Because there was a similar thing with Team America, World Police, when they were doing that. They had to add a whole bunch of stuff so that they could trim it down.
Yeah.
And a similar thing happened where they were just yeah, it's good to go. And they were
it doesn't make any sense. It's just, it's senseless. And it's only 6 people. It's ridiculous. It's so few people that are doing it. I hate it, the MPAA.
The movie itself, I don't think is all that gory. There's a handful of shots. There's the detective that gets impaled through the head, which is.
Yeah, but you don't even see as much of him as you do of Tatum in the first one.
No, but I mean, you see his body moving after being impaled through the head, which is disturbing.
Yeah.
And then when Derek gets shot, his chest blows open. It's
it's still very small, but it is violent.
There's matter. But poor Derek.
Yeah, he didn't deserve it.
I remember feeling as much as I did like this one, and I like this one more, I definitely, for personal reasons, like this one more than the first one. But both Derek and Hallie always really just bummed me out.
Mm-hmm. Especially because you were right. You said it during the movie, but it was like Hallie even makes it out of the car. And then they like she doesn't make it away. And
it's Neve Campbell. It's Sydney being stupid, which, I mean, it is a slasher movie. You do have to, because as I recall, if you go back and listen to our Scream 1, I think I was in a bit of a mood, which happens sometimes, but I think I was a little bit harsher on it than I typically would be.
On the movie or Sydney?
The movie.
Oh, okay.
Because I think I was in one of those phases where I was like, it's just not believable. And it's not. So with slashers, you kind of have to suspend disbelief. You kind of have to, there are the obligatory, don't do that, don't go in there, don't blah, blah, blah scenes. But it's just, I don't know, Hallie, and granted, I feel stronger about Derek than I do about Hallie because I don't know what it is. I don't think it's Elise Neal. Like, I don't think she's doing anything wrong, but I think the character is very underwritten.
Yeah, I agree. I think Derek is a little underwritten too.
Part of me is curious. It's like, okay, this is taking place a year after the events of the first Scream. And so it's like, what happened in the interim? Like, how did Sydney go about her life? How did she get to this place? How does she meet and become friends with Hallie? Mm-hmm. What is their relationship based on? Sure, but it's very much like Hallie's trying to pledge the sorority, and it's very evident that the sorority girls want Sydney. Yeah. And so it's like she's trying to use her connection and pull Sydney into this realm. There is a truly, in my opinion, hilarious dual performance by Rebecca Gayheart and Portia de Rossi in this movie. There is a scene where they're at a party and they're like this weird Greek chorus that they're just sort of omnipresent and then this is a movie that includes a literal Greek chorus. Yeah. They sort of in tandem float in and out of scenes. But there's a moment where they're at the sorority party and they walk up together and Portia de Rossi goes, "Hi, I really mean that."
Yeah.
Sydney, you made it. Hi. No, I really mean that. Hi.
Was that written in the script?
I don't know.
Did she do that? Was she instructed to do that? It's so uncanny. It's so close to like the way humans would speak.
Yeah. No, it's super bizarre.
I really mean that.
I really mean that. Hi. Like, because she says hi again after. It's ridiculous. I was going to say, I think one of the issues with some of the characters being underwritten is the fact that we're introducing new characters while keeping basically all of the characters from the first one.
4.
Like, we have Sydney, we have Dewey, we have Randy, we have Gail, and we have Cotton.
So 5.
So it's
and we're doing a fair amount of, because they're archetypes in the first one.
Yeah.
So we're doing a fair amount of fleshing them out. Like I kind of forget that it's like Dewey and Gail really only have like a meet cute in the first movie. Yeah. That their relationship is in this movie. Yeah. As with evidenced by the Dewey theme that we already talked about.
Yeah. That's the thing that I think is sort of what leads Derek and Hallie especially to be a little bit weak, because in my opinion, what is his name? Mickey? I think that's Timothy Olyphant doing that.
I was literally about to say, because Sarah Michelle Gellar bring just her presence, and I know that this is like Buffy is just hitting.
This is during season 2. She was filming season 2.
But, and I mean, there's a good chance this is hindsight for me looking back, because that's another thing is this movie ages really well.
It does.
Just the plot and story, I think, age fine. But like the people in this movie, there are people in this movie. And it's sort of like all of the cameos at the time. You get the sense that at the time they were just like, you're young and up and coming, be in this movie.
You're currently working on the WB.
Where now it's like stunty. It's like, oh man. Yeah. It's sort of like She's All That has everybody in it.
Yeah.
Because they all just happened to be
Usher's in that movie.
The right place at the right time.
Also Matthew Lillard is in She's All That.
But no, the Sarah Michelle Gellar, the Joshua Jackson for one scene, the Timothy Olyphant, both Rebecca and Portia. It's like they're sort of, their sheer presence is bringing a lot to the table, I think, in a way that like, I think Hallie falls flat. And so when I was saying, the thing for me with Derek is what I do think, the depth that I do think is there is those deep, blue eyes. No, those pools that you just want to dive into.
Jerry O'Connell is a very handsome man.
But it's like comedically so in this movie because he's such a like late 90s frat dude. The hair is so
Troop
good.
McNeely. It's like if you put Patrick Warburton's pieces in a frat boy mold, and that's what happened. That's
And
what
took
comes
like
out.
30 years off.
Yeah.
But you can just tell that he's actually in it with Sydney.
Yeah.
And she's going through the motions. Like
she's just like, cool.
And you know that she's like, I should feel this way. And there's a part of her that's like, it's residual PTSD. I'll grow into it.
Because there's like, she's so not ready for this like new relationship. And there's such a like, there's been such a trust broken for her with like romantic partners that like literally the minute someone's like, it's probably your boyfriend, she's like, it probably is my boyfriend.
But I'm like, I mean, that trust goes beyond Randy and Stu because Billy and Stu, because her parents, I mean.
Yeah. Okay. That's the thing. And I know that it continues in the third movie, but like, I'm really tired of everyone calling Maureen Prescott a slut. I'm like fucking sick of it.
So I'm on the opposite. I'm kind of like, this bitch really did. Like, man, she put how many people's lives did she ruin because she couldn't keep her goddamn legs closed?
She had one affair, and so did Billy's dad.
All I'm saying is usually one affair doesn't require an entire town losing its goddamn mind. The amount of people that unhinge.
I would argue that they were already like half hinged to begin with.
That's going to make a middle of the country joke. But wasn't the first one in California?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't even work. But
I don't know. Probably like middle California.
Northern California.
Northern California is nice and Southern California is nice. It's the middle you got to watch out for.
But no, because there's like a scene in particular where they're like eating lunch and Sydney comes in and Derek stands up and pulls the chair out for her to sit in next to him. Mm-hmm. And she just sits on the opposite side of the table.
Yep.
And he kind of pushes it in. I never really noticed it before. And I was just kind of like, I don't know. She's not
there yet.
He's just such a dream hunk.
Well, it's also, okay, here's the thing, though, is I don't remember how many years after the second one takes place, but I think it's many, because she's, like, out of school and she's, like, living in the country and stuff in the third one.
I think it's, like, 2 or 3. I think it's in universe.
Oh, well, okay. Regardless, it's, like, so the first movie took place 1 year after her mom died, and everyone is like, you really just need to, like, get over it. And then the second one takes place 1 year after someone killed all of her friends and tried to murder her, and everyone's like, you should just get over it. It's not about you. And it's like, it is, though.
And Hallie's like, come join my cult.
Yeah, right. Come join my friends you have to pay to be around you.
But I am going to say something else. Let's just assume this is not the first controversial and brave thing I've said this episode. Okay. I think Courtney Cox's hair is amazing in this movie.
One more thing. Nice streaks. Wow.
Okay, it is amazing.
So fucking good.
It is amazing. It's just such streaky red, but it looks so good on her that I can't be mad about it. And it's not, I mean, we're going to have a whole conversation about the baby bangs from the third one.
Okay, if Gale Weathers just had this hair,
yeah,
I would fucking stan.
Yeah.
I think where this hair is off is when you put it in between the first and third hairstyle.
So, okay, I can believe that this is okay, I'm going to make an analogy, and it is like the Star Wars sequels. This hair could be a direct sequel to the first hair. She's got money. She has a book deal. She's on TV all the time.
This is her makeover.
This hair is a direct sequel to the first movie's hair. The third movie is not a sequel to anything.
But, well, no, because I would even argue that the third movie's hair could also arguably a sequel to the first movie's
one.
hair.
Okay, sure.
But to have this one be a stop in the middle, it does not add up.
Yeah, you're right.
It does not.
You're totally right.
And it's even more baffling because by the time we get to Scream 4 and 5, we're well into Courtney Cox's like vanity stage. Yeah. So she just wants like a blowout.
She's like, just give me a like...
Take 10 years off.
A beachy wave blowout and put some Vaseline on that camera. We are good to go.
Give me the Ellen DeGeneres filter.
Yeah, right.
But no, I think this hair is so good. I think that because that was a thing. The chunky highlights. Again, I will also say ahead of its time. Because this is where those came in. Now, granted, I worked at a salon at this point, so I might have very particular PTSD. But that's very Kelly Clarkson thankful 2003, 2004.
Okay. Although
blocky, chunky highlights.
One thing I'll say is that speaking of Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is in this movie, she gets her chunky highlights on Buffy in season 3 because they like had to over bleach her to come back from the Cruel Intentions brown hair. And so that's where I always associate it with like late 90s, early 2000s. So I don't think it's super ahead of its time, but I think the red of it, it's the fact that it's really, if it was blonde, that would be horrific.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's red is like, I don't know, it's very chic. And the cut looks really good on Courtney Cox's face. I'm like fine with this.
And I think it's also because it's so vastly different from Monica.
Yeah.
Although actually, because don't they end up, isn't this when she has like the really short hair on Friends?
The Dudley Moore hair.
And I think it's maybe because they were cutting the red out. I don't know. It's very interesting. I think this is my favorite styling of Gale. Notice I didn't say my favorite Gale Weathers because that is reserved for 3. This is a heart. Gale Weathers would find a way. Do you just want to go watch 3 right now?
You might have convinced me to stay up even though I'm still sick. It's just a cold. I'm good.
I also don't think I ever appreciated what a whore Cotton Weary is. That he just wants his 15 minutes of fame.
Just a total media whore. He is just all about it. That's all he wants.
But he's also...
He wants 15 minutes of fame and a little bit of money.
He's like a little diva. Well, not quite diva because he's very much like, Gale, I thought we had agreed to the... Like, it's so funny. And especially, I mean, spoiler alert, I don't think you're watching this along with us, but he's not long for this franchise. Yeah. And he just doesn't deserve it.
No.
He was wrongly fingered by Sydney.
They do say that more than once.
And spent a year in prison.
Okay, so
and now he just wants a book deal. He's earned 6 figures.
Deal. Yeah, sure. I'm fine with it.
Potentially even 7 if Gale Weathers could.
Did Gale Weathers get $1 million? Like, yeah. Okay. Gale Weathers kind of a whore too.
I was gonna say because actually, when you really map it out, the timelines for these movies don't add.
No, she wrote an entire book and it was like on the list or like out long enough to be a bestseller. No. And the movie's already done.
Enter production, finish production. Well, because also it's like Sydney's mother died a year ago, but he's also been in jail for a year. So it's like,
oh yeah.
Don't pull the threads.
He would have been in jail the whole time. If they arrested him, he would have been in holding the entire time.
Sure, but it's phrased.
But it was as if he was sentenced to prison and he was already in there for an entire year.
When they like,
yeah, you're right. Don't pull at that thread.
Don't pull at the thread. It's fine. Revisiting this, I'm coming out way more of a Cotton. I was a pretty big Cotton stan going in. I think we just enjoy saying Cotton.
Cotton.
That's been one of our.
And also, Liev Schreiber is pretty great.
He's so okay. Because I was like 15 when I watched these, and he looked like an old man. Yeah. And he does not look like an old man anymore. He's so young in these movies.
Super young. Okay, I guess we should actually get to some of the plot because we lose Randy too.
In spite of my better judgments, I've always been a Jamie Kennedy fan. Yeah. Certainly at this point I was. I think he's been questionable in recent years, but he was also
good to go.
A certified piece. It's nerd piece.
Oh, yeah.
But a piece in this movie.
Whatever you want to say about Jamie Kennedy, but I think Randy was like a really good piece of this franchise. I was bummed to lose him.
It does, like in hindsight, when you go back, it's like, man, I mean, we only do have 3 movies. It felt more when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when we lose him halfway through this movie, I'm like, oh, is that it?
Yeah, like, it was a bummer. I
remember it being one of the big shocks.
Yeah, there also apparently were like multiple versions of this script because it like leaked at one point and originally it was supposed to be Derek as the killer. and like all kinds of stuff. And so basically it leaked and they rewrote the entire movie. So like there might be a movie out there where Randy didn't die, but I don't know.
Well, I did read a bit of that in the trivia where they were like, because obviously this is right when the internet is like coming to prominence. And so this was one of those movies that
it was like the first
the entire movie was just online if you looked.
Apparently you can still find it, the original one. But yeah, I don't know. I
mean, at this point, that's history. So I would just
of course.
Open the archives. But
I was just kind of bummed about that. I remember like watching it the first time and being like, oh, because like Randy's funny and he's the one that's always telling you about the rules and stuff. And like, I don't know. Oh, doesn't he though? There's a video in the third one? Because like
Heather
Matarazzo is his sister. Yeah. Anyway, I like Randy.
I do too.
I also love that Randy and Sydney decided to go to college at the same place. That's pretty cute. I liked that.
I think he followed her to college there. I don't think that they decided to go into the same place. But no, there's something about this movie in particular because, like I said, I really like the third one, and obviously we'll get to the third one when we get into it, because there is sort of Hollywood, but like an old Hollywood griminess to the third one. But this one is very fresh. It feels like Second Chance. It feels like going to college. There's this weird optimistic streak through the whole movie that I feel is interesting and that I'm drawn to. It's very it's not necessarily that it's very colorful, but there is bright, bold use of color. The way that
there's a lot more sunshine in this one too than the first one.
Well, the first one it's a lot more like fall, like the sun setting in a fall afternoon, like a low winter sun type thing. Sure. Where this is way more spring and summer. Like this feels summery. Even just like the sensibilities of it. Like I love that there's just this like random dramatic reading from the Trojan Women, or what is the play?
I don't remember.
She's being Cassandra, and let's be honest, I mean, iconic.
Yeah.
She looks in that red.
She looks unbelievable.
The eyeliner, the braid, like
the sheer scarf thing.
I love that they just do that. I love the nods to theater. Anyone who's grown up in theater knows that like a theater is such a prime location for a final battle.
Oh yeah.
They're terrifying. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
There is so much like deadly shit. Yeah, I love that notion. And that kind of ties into the whole liminal space thing where it's like, I love how like literally in 1 second you're like the quad is populated and then you turn around and suddenly it's like desolate.
There's no one.
Yeah, I kind of love that. I love Gail's entire chase scene through the like.
Oh, the AV rooms is super good.
It's such a good use of like production, like location, props and stuff. The sound booth, that's such a great like idea to have her and Dewey separated by soundproof glass. Is really
super fun. So I guess the last thing I really want to talk about is Laurie Metcalf.
One of us, I was like, we've yet to invoke her name.
Okay. I love Laurie Metcalf. I was never really a Roseanne person. What?
I was trying to make the whites.
Oh, the eyes.
The entire third act of this movie, her eyelids, it's like they're magnetic. It's amazing. They are repelled.
So I was never really allowed to watch Roseanne. And so I came to Laurie Metcalf like relatively late in my life. And I don't know what it is. There's something about her. Every time she pops up in something, I'm like, thank God Laurie Metcalf is here.
I mean, including the gay cartoon.
Yes, even on Q-Force. And like I like Lady Bird, like I think she was robbed of her Oscar for Lady Bird.
Even in Big Bang Theory.
She's great and so many things. I love her so much. She is okay. We have this running thing that we do because we are also of the correct generation where like for like 3 to 4 to 5 years, Dane Cook was the height of comedy. And he has this bit about how like if you are trying to get away with something, you have to just come in and be like, oh my God, someone did a thing. And so his example is someone shit on the coats. But
like, if
you shit on the coats.
If you're at a party and you shit on the coats, you have to pretend to be surprised when you find out. It's
oh my God, someone
shit on the coats?
And then you just fade away. And so it's every single time someone's doing something suspicious, but you know that they're the villain and they're just like, oh, well, I never. And she's just constantly
lurking
all over
on the periphery
movie. And
remarking subtly.
Specifically, the one time is when all the other reporters are around her and Gail has just like decimated her and walked away. And she's like, well, all I was trying to say is that if they're repeating the Woodsboro murders, it's probably somebody from Woodsboro. Bye. And then she just runs away.
Well, it just seems to me that if the killer is repeating what happened in Woodsboro, it's quite possible that the killer could be from Woodsboro. That's all.
That other Susie Hobby reporter was like, oh my, yeah, that's
It's so funny. So funny. And then you're right. As soon as we have the final battle on the theater stage, she is just balls to the wall, nut job crazy.
fucking nuts. Okay, so I adore Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing a lot and he's doing good at it.
Yeah.
Billy's mother. Nice twist, huh? Didn't see it coming, did you?
He's not breaking the mold. No. I think that we kept talking about how he obviously is very attractive in this movie, but the best is yet to come, let's just say.
He is so fine now.
He's doing serviceable lunatic, because is what it feels like he's doing is trying to do both Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard at the same time.
He's doing a Billy and Stu.
Yeah. And it's fine. It works. But it's Laurie Metcalf that comes in and dots that eye. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Once she and her, and I love that presumably she just went to serialkillers.com and
they met on a message board.
And also, I mean, they don't even hint at it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. They were banging, right? She's
there is as much evidence that they were banging as there is that
Randy in there and
that Stu and Billy were banging. So, or that at least Stu really wanted to bang Billy.
Mm-hmm. I think it is definitely a serviceable villain reveal. It's not totally original, although the movie itself acknowledges that and even winks at that. And furthermore, who the killer isn't always the point of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know, the reveal in the first, it's
the first one's good and the first one's believable. Because
it's also hard for me to remember before I knew it. Mm-hmm. So I've always known it. And so that's
they're difficult. Books of the Bible at this point for us.
But I do remember being actually straight up shocked at the third one. So, but that was one of the ones that I watched
later,
closer to when it had come out. So I didn't know as much about it. So
I think the reveals are serviceable. Yeah. And again, to put a note on it, did somebody go get Derek's body down? Because it's just up there in the rafters.
It's just hanging up there in the rafters. That is terrible. Very Jesus-y, though.
Yeah. Well, it's Deus Ex Machina. Because, Dewey survives again.
Mm-hmm. Even though originally he was supposed to die.
Did he really?
In the original script, he did die. And I think that was one of the things he got stabbed so many times. He's been stabbed so many times now.
I actually don't have anything to say. It's just very funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, it checks because he was stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
And so he has this very affected limp and hand placement, hand gesture. But it was really taking your husband out.
It's so much.
Because there's even an aerial shot and he's just running through the
quad. It's pretty funny.
We do have more Dewey and Gale stuff. We can get to that in the third one.
Yeah.
Because I do love I love what a bitch Gale is.
Yeah.
And
Dewey is also always just sort of disappointed that she's such a bitch. He's just sort of come on, Gale.
When he called her a mediocre writer, I was like,
oh my God.
It's probably true, though.
Well, she wrote that book in what has to have been
4 months. Yeah, I think that there's more to say, but that feels like
the
cherry on top of our Scream 2 conversation. So
I still love it. I think also the conversation about like which Scream is better and like when did they get bad or whatever is sort of moot. Like I don't really care.
I think they're all good.
I think they're all good. And I also, even if one of them was bad, like I know people don't like the third one, but I just think it's so funny and it's still fresh and smart. And I don't know. I dig it. I dig the third one too.
It does its own thing.
Yeah.
Like it does an interesting thing. And I was glad that this watched as well as it did at 36 because like I said I was roughly 16 when I saw 14 probably 15 16 when I saw it the first time. And if anything has changed, I'm glad that what has changed is I find it even funnier.
Yeah.
I was sort of hysterical this entire
It was
time
super
watching
fun.
this movie. So all right. Well, on that note, do you want to take us out?
Yes. Do you want to take out your mic?
Yeah, right? Just
oh no.
Lighting comes crashing down.
One fell down. Okay. You can follow us on Twitter @soimwatching or Instagram @soimwatching the show. We also have a website, soimwatching.com, which links out to everything, including our Patreon and our Cash App and our Venmo and everything. If you want to become a member, help us out a little. We are currently in the market for new cameras, so we need a couple extra bucks. So throw us what you can. And then other than that, just like and subscribe and let us know what you think about the Scream franchise. And we'll be coming at you with third and fourth ones sometime this week as well. And then the fifth one as soon as we can brave the movie theater again. We'll see. Bye.